All right, welcome back to another EHR review. Today's EHR of the moment is IntakeQ. Now, IntakeQ is an interesting EHR because it didn't start out as an EHR at all. A lot of you may have heard of IntakeQ. If not, I'll give you a little bit of history. So IntakeQ was really first developed as a means to send intake paperwork. So a lot of practitioners used IntakeQ just as an add-on to their existing EHR to send paperwork and forms over the internet to their clients. And IntakeQ did this really, really well. They still do it really, really well. And this is what we use in our practice to send intake forms and other forms that we want to have clients fill out. So they really made a name for themselves by creating this system to send paperwork back and forth and have it signed securely, electronically, and HIPAA compliantly. But since then, IntakeQ has really grown in popularity and grown in their features. So I think they rightfully recognized that clinicians who are sending paperwork would love a more full-featured EHR. So they have really been working hard over the past couple years to build out the EHR features. So IntakeQ is definitely not a traditional EHR. You'll notice that it is really, I think, primarily set up more just for, it's centered around the paperwork experience, which we see just from the start screen here. This is the first screen that you see when you log into IntakeQ. And it's already prompting us to create some forms. So we're going to walk through all of the features that I can find. Now, full disclosure, like I said, I do use IntakeQ in my practice. There are no affiliate relationships or anything here. So I'll try to give you an unbiased review. And we do not use IntakeQ as an EHR. So I will be walking through the EHR features similar to the other EHR reviews with a relatively blind eye. Okay, so this is the first screen that you see. Just some basics. IntakeQ does offer a free trial of 14 days. It does not require a credit card. And for pricing, you can see that they offer 2 tiers. Again, no contract, cancel anytime. That's always nice. So they have the forms only package, which is, as you can see, very form centric. $20 per additional practitioner. And then for just a $10 upgrade, you get everything from forms plus all of these EHR features, which are super handy. So there you can see pricing, very competitive with other EHRs at about $60 a month. It is, $20 per additional practitioner. So that's actually pretty competitive. So, okay, let's go back home. So as is the usual, I'm just going to walk through and see what happens when I follow their prompts. So they're prompting us to create an intake form or let them do it for us. So one of the cool things about IntakeQ is you can, as you can see, it's just walking us through what types of forms we have. And we can create custom note templates, which will be handy for testing down the road. Okay. So they have standard forms. That's really nice. But you can also see, and this is what we did, they will convert your existing forms into fillable PDFs that work with their software. So that is super cool. We just uploaded all of our existing forms and they converted all of them for a fee of, when we did it, it was $9 per form. So, if you think, I don't think most of us have more than probably 10 or 20 forms. So you can easily get away under $100 or $200 to, save a lot of time in setting up your forms. So I'm just going to see what happens if we import some of their standard forms. So counseling, let's see, medical intake form, pediatric. Let's just go pediatric intake form. Nice that they have a COVID screening form. So let's import that, see what happens. Okay, so there we have it. That is pretty cool. Now, here's where you could upload your existing form. And just to walk us through this. Yeah, it looks like it is still only $9 a form. 1 to 3 business days. We did find that was true, and we can edit the forms after they converted them. So that's great. Let's go back to, so let's see, just to give you an example of what these forms look like and what the form interface looks like. Okay, so they are walking us through all of these options, which is really nice. So I'm not going to click on all of these, obviously, because I'm not really interested here in showing you how to do all of this. But you can see over here, this is what the form looks like in the editing mode. So you can create your form. You can drag things around like this. You can edit the section, put the section title. You can tell this is a kind of a boilerplate template that they've used, but so yeah, it gives you a number of kind of standardized questions. Again, this is just one of the forms that they provided you. They have birth history. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah. So this is a decent little intake form. And I just want to show you what this looks like when you actually send it to the client. So this is what the client will see. So this is what all of that turns into. And, it's pretty user-friendly interface on the client side. So they just, answer their questions, and you can scroll through and see it's very easy. It's this nice web-based form, and then they can e-sign it, which is also pretty cool. So yeah, so IntakeQ, they, suffice it to say, they have definitely done the forms right. They know how to do forms. It's really easy. You can easily, again, send to client. Once we have a client in here, this will auto-populate, so we'll come back and do that a little bit later. But so this is what forms look like. And at this point in our practice, we have many, many forms in here and, questionnaires that we put together into packets. So you can create packets or folders for different types of clients. For example, child evaluations or adult evaluations or counseling versus testing, that sort of thing. Okay, so again, suffice it to say, forms are really where IntakeQ shines. But we are interested in more of the EHR features. So I think this is where IntakeQ takes a little bit more work. So we're going to go back. You can see that it's changed this home screen. And it's not quite as user-friendly as other EHRs in terms of walking you through all the scheduling features and practice setup. So we're going to do our best to navigate through that. I'm going to go ahead and add a new client. I'm going to use myself as usual. Let's see. And, this is interesting. Okay, so you do have to click. I wanted to just kind of type in there, but wasn't able to do that. That is not my real birthday, by the way. There we go. So we're going to invite the client to the portal, and we're going to save. Okay, I like this. So it just automatically goes to client information. Gives us a lot of options here. Now, I like the way that IntakeQ is laid out. It's very clean, very simple, it's very easy to navigate. So let's jump in and try to edit some of this. let's see, at least on my screen, or maybe for my eyes, this font is just a little tiny, but we'll make it work. So let's fill in all this information as usual, and hopefully that will help us when we go to do some billing. So there is a spot for referrals. That's great. Auto charge. Oh, I like this. I have not seen this feature on any other EHRs that I've reviewed. So it looks like you can do an auto charge on the day of appointment. I like that. Emergency contact, pretty straightforward. So one thing that I am noticing, at least so far, is that there's not a whole lot in terms of specifying preferred pronouns or gender identity or sexual orientation or anything like that, which is kind of a bummer. Okay, so we'll just type this stuff in. Let's see, we'll say it's a $30 copay and a $1,500 deductible. All right, there we go. So it's going to auto-populate. That's really nice. I'm not going to mess with secondary insurance because everybody knows that just complicates things. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, great. That's pretty easy to navigate. Let's see what all these are. Okay, this looks, it's billing. A payment plan. That is interesting. Definitely have not seen a built-in payment plan for any EHRs yet. That's a nice little feature. Yeah, so we can connect to a payment provider. They do it through Stripe or Square, which are both great options, but I'm not going to go through that right now. Files, we have nothing yet. Messages, this is the secure messaging portal. Not sure what shared is. Okay, so shared documents, that sounds good. And gives us some information that I was invited to the portal. Okay, great. So this is good. This is easy, easy entering client information. I'm not sure what a tag might be. Maybe you could tag them as pediatric or adult or testing or therapy. Some options over here that I think would be useful in certain situations. Ban client, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it could be useful in some regards. Automatic faxing. Let's see what happens there. Oh, they don't have any documents. I think I remember that IntakeQ will integrate with a fax provider like SR Fax, and you can fax straight from IntakeQ, which is super convenient. Let's see, merge with. Okay, so you can merge client files there. That could be handy as well. This is a good time. I should have actually said this in the very beginning that there is an entire Facebook group dedicated to using IntakeQ as an EHR. I will link to that in the show notes, of course. So, okay, so we've got our client input to the system. Let's see what timeline shows. Intakes, notes, appointments. We don't have any of that. I'm guessing this plus button is going to be scheduling an appointment. Okay, that's good. It's always good for me when a button does what I think it will do before I click it. Now, it's not super obvious with where the calendar is or how to book an appointment, but that was pretty easy to discover. All right, so service. We do not have any services, so we're going to need to go back and do that. So how do we do that? I am thinking it's going to be settings. Again, let's see if this is what that is. We can walk through the settings here while we're here. Intake form header. This is great if you have a header for your forms. You can upload it here. It's pretty easy. We did that with our practice, so that would be like your logo and contact information and things like that. Same here. Let's see. You can customize the email template that goes out to the client when they get intake forms. This is really nice. We include directions to the office in this intake email. And this is what it looks like. So they give the password, they have to open the form, and they fill out the form. Texting, this is really cool. So you can also send a text message to the client to fill out their paperwork with a link in the text message. We found that this really helps with conversion. Okay. Let's see. This is just settings again for the forms. This is who the email comes from. Let's see. Notifications, that all makes sense. All right. Maybe it's features. So we do want to enable diagnosis. Okay. I'm not going to do super bills, but I am going to enable claims in hopes that we can walk through and do a claim. They do offer integrated telehealth. Journal entries, this would be more appropriate for allied health professionals. Let's see, we're going to enable tasks. That sounds like that would be very helpful. Let's see. Oh, I'm not going to read through all of that right now. But it sounds like a to-do list, which is good. They do have secure messaging within the platform. I'm not going to enable that right now. And then integrations, this is pretty cool. So this is one of the only EHRs that I know of that has API integration. So this might not mean anything for a lot of you, but if there are any of you out there who are trying to, as it says, like pull information from the EHR into another system, like say a dashboard or CRM software, something like that, it can be super helpful. The integrations that we use the most, Zoom is pretty clear. We use Google Drive very frequently. So we have it set up where when a client when a client fills out their intake forms, it automatically creates and uploads those forms to a Google Drive folder. That's really cool. Zapier, if you haven't used Zapier, it's a software that connects to other pieces of software and lets them talk to each other and do things. It's very cool. So, for example, I don't know what it does within IntakeQ, but it in other contexts, like I use Zapier, for example, to automatically publish Facebook posts whenever a podcast is released. So Zapier is the intermediary software that allows my podcast feed to talk to Facebook. I would imagine there are some really cool things you could do with IntakeQ, like maybe email you when a client's filled out a form. That's pretty straightforward. But maybe... well, I don't know what it might do. I can't really guess at that, but I'm sure it is cool. SRFax integration, like I said, Office Ally, and Google Analytics, and even Facebook Pixel. So a lot of integrations here, which is great. But we did not find our service codes. So let's see where the service codes might be. I don't think it's in extract data. Not in subscription. You can add assistants, which is great. So your office staff can. Let's see. Fax, I don't think that's going to be our service codes, but there are some robust fax features. Processes. Let's see what this might be. Initial task. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it looks really promising. Anything that has the word automation in it is very attractive to me. So it looks like you may be able to make certain tasks contingent on others. Something to think about. Okay. Is it an account? This seems promising. Maybe it's in clinical. Okay, we've got our MPI. I'm going to put some information in there. I don't know what that means exactly. wish that auto-populated. I don't have that memorized, obviously. But I'll put some information in here and hope that it will allow us to file some claims later. Okay, great. Referrals. They do have a referral program, which is great. I should probably put that link in the show notes. It looks like maybe there is an affiliate relationship here, or possibility. They do have a BAA right off the bat, which is great. You just submit that and it's locked in. And I like how they do GDPR as well. Okay, but we are still looking for our service codes. So where are those? Does not look like it is anywhere in here. So bookings, we don't have any bookings. Could it be in booking settings? Possibly. So again, y'all, I'm just meandering around here, which is the nature of these reviews. I'm hoping that it's going to be in services. Yes. Is this it? Maybe. Okay, let's give it a shot. But like I said, I'm just meandering around, trying to give you a sense of what it's like to get familiar with this software. Okay. Great. We have that. Form. Okay, that's cool. So if you were using this as an EHR, you could pair specific forms to specific appointment types. That's great. Okay, you can do some overrides. Session limits. That is super helpful if people are trying to schedule their own appointments. Okay, and super bill. Okay. Maybe. Oh, manage codes. Okay, this is great. I feel like this has to exist somewhere else. It seems like that's really buried in the menus. So, okay, I'm just going to go through and go ahead and add all our codes. Let's see. Let's see. So I'm going to add all our codes. So this process is pretty easy. The question is going to be, how does the system handle add-on codes? Not sure how that's going to work. Okay, let's go ahead and get our thinking codes in here, and then we will be on our way. All right, let's do one more. Oops. Okay. Now, this is not a precise labeling exercise, so keep that in mind. Okay, so we've got our codes. That sounds good. All right. So place of service. Okay, this is good. We can do a default here, and we can add our default procedure. Again, we are on our testing intake, so let's go ahead and save that. I'm gonna go ahead and say testing admin. Let's see. I don't love. Can you put 0, or do we want to hide this? Yeah, good question. I'm not sure exactly what we might say there. Yeah, that doesn't really work either, because it's going to ask the price. So This is confusing. I'm not exactly sure like which of these prices is going to count, quote unquote. Is it the price we specify here or the super bill information? So I'm going to go ahead and put this here and then go back and add it for the super bill as well. But again, we're kind of getting into this issue. So it's always going to be one of those, but then not sure how it's going to add the units. So it's okay. We're going to walk through this and then we'll figure out how it works. So I'll put the price here. Hopefully this will work. We'll go to super bill. We're going to add our procedures here. Always going to be one unit there. And we're going to leave this blank and hope that that works. Okie dokie. Okay, there we are. So again, we're in bookings and settings. Here's your credit card. Settings. Booking settings. I mean, I like that it gives you all these scheduling options. You can set a minimum interval between your appointments. That's really cool. When they start. Lead time for client appointments. So this is, it's a fairly robust scheduling package here. Lots of customization options, which is great. They do have a booking widget you can put on your website. There we go. Lots of reminders. Okay. Sync, you can sync with your calendars. That's awesome. Pretty standard feature. Okay. So again, this is the booking widget. So you would put this on your website if you would like. Okay, and there's the code. Okay, so I think we can schedule an appointment. Let's go. So there's booking settings. Is it add time? No, that's adding extra time. So this is interesting. I would love to have the capability to, just book an appointment right from this screen. So the only place I've seen to book an appointment right now is in the client settings. So let's see if there's a different way to do that. Okay, great. We can just click on the calendar. Is this going to auto-populate? Yes, that's awesome. We got our testing intake service. Very cool. We could send the intake form, which is great. And an invoice. Let's see. Don't think we're going to do that right now. We will see how this works. Can send a confirmation email. That is also great. Looks like you can add additional clients if you're doing groups. Also a cool feature. Okay. Can we drag? Yes, we can drag. Anybody who's been following the EHR review series knows that I love being able to drag these appointments around. Okay, let's schedule our testing appointment here. Gonna do testing admin. And it's gonna auto-populate the 30 minutes. Let's do that and see what happens. We're not gonna send any forms and we're not gonna create an invoice. So let's save that. Okay, that's good. And then here we go. Let's do our feedback. So again, pretty user-friendly here. We'll keep it at 60 minutes. We'll see how that plays out when you go to write the note. Okay, great. So here we are. Presumably now I have had 3 appointments with myself. And where is my task list? Where is my task list? Great question. just going to go home, see what that does. Okay. Not a whole lot there. It's not going to be my forms. Let's see what these buttons do. Ah, tasks. I love it. I love it. But it is not giving me the option. I wonder if you have to manually assign these tasks. I would assume that it would... I would assume that it would just automatically create a task for those appointments that happened already. But maybe not. Okay, nothing there. Okay, so let's figure out how to do this. So if I go into this note, it's already happened. No. Let's see. Create note. Okay, that's good. Let's see what happens when we create the note templates. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Soap notes. Actually, I'm going to back out of this. I'm afraid I'm not going to showcase all the features of the EHR. That's going to give us a gosh, what am I trying to say, y'all? It's going to give us a default template that probably isn't going to be helpful. Okay, soap notes. So this is the form that it would have given us to write for that note. We don't really like that because we are testing clinicians and those notes don't work for us. So we're going to try to create new. Let's just call this a testing intake note. And we're going to do that. Okay, so we can do, okay, so this is very robust. Like I said, they have a really nice system for creating custom forms. So theoretically, you can call it, it could be an open answer question. You can do all kinds of questions, multiple choice, this matrix, and they have examples, which I love. You can mouse over and it'll show you what it looks like. So a matrix could be a really good feature to use on our actual testing day note. So we could put, for example, you can't see my finger pointing, and if I move my mouse, it's going to make that disappear. But, you could do a heading that says test and time, like start time and end time. That would be super helpful. I'm gonna mouse over these just so you can see a little bit what the examples are. They do multiple choice. So you could basically create any kind of note. We could do a growth chart if you really want to do that. Place for the diagnosis. So you could easily create a testing, a testing friendly note. So just for what we're doing here, I'm just going to put one question on there. And the question is referral source. Okay, and you can see it automatically goes over there, which is great. And yeah, that is saved. That is saved. Okay, so I think we're good. We're going to go back here and look at testing intake note. Yes, it did save. We can, of course, do a testing day note. And here we're going to add a new question. I am going to do a matrix because I really, really like that. And like I said, we can just say test name, start time, end time. Okay, that's cool. Let's see. Yeah, I was hoping that it somehow might be able to like total that amount, but it's not going to do that. So that's already there. We'll call this test documentation. Shout out to Grammarly if anybody uses Grammarly. All right, we got that. And then we'll create a feedback note. Okay, and I'm just going to do, an open answer question. What did we talk about? Okay, saves automatically. That's great. All right, let's go back. I'm still really hoping that we might, find, I don't know. I really want that task list, but it's just not happening. Maybe some of you know how to do that. Okay, so we're back. We'll click on this. We'll do create note. We're going to do testing intake note. And okay, this is cool. So we're going to do one. Oh, wait. One. Okay, I think that's right. There we go. Okay, so this is cool. So it looks like we are going to have some flexibility to, add procedures and whatnot. So I think we're good there. We're going to save it, and then I'm guessing, so it is saved. Let's see what lock means. Okay, looks like that's good. I'm guessing that means we've signed it. Okay. And we'll save. Let's try our testing day note here. We are going to create this note. Whoops, today is a testing day. Okay, we have our nice, so this auto-populates, okay, and we can, okay. I like the, okay, so there we go. We've got 7 units. This looks like it's going to be pretty easy. Yeah, we can, we don't want to do that. Do we add a row? No. Maybe I didn't set this up the right way, but you get the idea. The note is saved. We're going to lock this. There we go. We'll go ahead and save. Then we will do our feedback note as well, and then we're going to figure out how to submit it to insurance, if we can do that. So again, this is cool. We're going to do 5 hours for report writing, and it saves automatically. Usually it saves automatically, which is nice. So we'll lock this. Okay. All right, so let's see now, how do we create an insurance claim? Maybe we go to claims. Okay, so this does not show us a task list. Let's see if it shows up under tasks. No. So again, I know I'm always cautious, aware of those moments when people out there know how to do these things, and I'm just muddling around, and you're like, Jeremy, you do it a different way. But let's see, let's go in here and try to create a claim. Ooh, okay, this is good. I like that you can just do it that way. Payer ID, we could add that. So it's got all the information, organizational, we could change that if we wanted to. We have, okay, great, totaling all of that. We got the MPI. We could put the referring provider. Okay, this is all helpful. Let's click validate and see what happens. Yes, it's going to give us some errors, which is nice. So this is kind of like the scrubbing feature that popped up in one of the other EHR reviews. So it's going to tell us what we need to do. ICD code 1. All right. That's the one that jumps out to me. I wish that it would... Oh, that's right. It didn't give us any place to put a diagnosis on any of those notes. That is interesting. So we would have to go back and do that. So question, modifiers and diagnosis. Okay, love that you can add modifiers. Not sure. Maybe we have to set up our diagnoses elsewhere before we can submit a claim. Okay, so you could print, do an EDI. Okay, this all looks pretty user-friendly. You could add notes for each claim. That's helpful. And then I'm guessing that's kind of the audit trail for any claims. Let's see. I'm not sure where we would add a diagnosis, but I know that we saw that as a feature. So that would take some messing around to really make that happen. So generally speaking, there are a lot of pros to IntakeQ. The things that I like are, obviously the strength right off the bat is that they are fantastic at the forms aspect of things. So, sending forms, receiving forms, getting them signed electronically, that whole system is built out really, really well. Related to that, it's their client portal of sorts. Also very well built out. I like the look of it. Just the aesthetics, the colors, the fonts, all that kind of stuff. I like that. I think it's laid out nicely. I like some of those features from the beginning in terms of auto charging the credit card on the day of service. I like that you can create custom note templates. I like that you can create custom paperwork. So the customization of forms and notes is really helpful here. I think that it could work well for a testing psychologist. You just have to put some time into it in the beginning to set up your forms. And let's see, what else? I'm going to try to jog my memory. Didn't really get into the lists as much. But I do know that, from running this system in our practice, at least with forms, when you start sending forms to a bunch of clients, it's really helpful to be able to track who's filled out their paperwork and who hasn't, and that can happen here. Looks like they do have a nice reporting system with revenue, which is always good. I love data and I love reports. We've got services, that's super helpful. Revenue by service, that would be very helpful. By practitioner, that's awesome. So if you can customize the date. That's really cool. So for a group practice owner, if you're doing revenue by practitioner and then select by the date, you could do payroll pretty easily here. Let's see. So that's a cool report. Questionnaires. Let's see. Pediatric intake form. What does that look like? So this is really cool. It's going to give you all of the data from your questionnaires that you set up. That is incredible. So if you're in a research-based practice, this could be really helpful. I know that I said I know. I don't actually know that, but I want to say that you can export all of this information, and that's how some practitioners are getting it into something like Form Tool to help write your intakes. That's a whole other podcast that I'm not going to get into. Let's see. If you're interested in exporting data from IntakeQ to help write your intakes, Stephanie Nelson has a great post on that on her blog at the Peer Consult. Okay, what other reports do we have? Audit trail. I don't know what that is, but it sounds helpful if you needed it. Okay, yeah. So reports are good. Let's see what an email report looks like. Okay, it's just the emails you sent and received. Okay, what else do I like here? Yeah, the extracting data. I love that. I like the pricing. I feel like you get a lot for a very competitive price. Oh yes, the integrations and automations. I could see being super helpful for practice owners. So a lot of pros to IntakeQ. I could definitely see using this as a full-featured EHR, which a lot of people do. The things I don't love are, some of these headings are not super easy to know what they are. Like bookings kind of make sense. I wish it was just called like schedule or calendar. I wish there was an easier way to schedule an appointment, like even, mousing over the calendar. If there was just a little like plus sign, that would be helpful. Kind of a common complaint I have with a lot of EHRs is just the navigation. So there's nothing up here that like obviously says clients. You have to go into lists. So, you have your client, and then, the to-dos are over here, which is great. But I wish there was a more obvious task list. I'm not sure. I feel like I must be doing something wrong that those tasks didn't pop up on my task list. But anyway, so yeah, the navigation and just kind of knowing how to link, a client to an appointment, to to a diagnosis, to a note, like that whole process is a little bit clunky for me. I don't love the interface here where you have to go to more to create the note and create the claim. There might be an easier way to do that. It just wasn't super obvious or intuitive here from the beginning. And that's really what we're going for. This is just, intuitive use of these EHRs. So that's where I'm coming from. But otherwise, one more complaint. I mean, that there weren't fantastic options for like, preferred pronouns, gender identity, sexual orientation, that sort of stuff. There's not a lot of demographic info here. So there are some downsides, but I could certainly see IntakeQ as an option for a testing psychologist. So thanks for tuning in. If you haven't checked out the other EHR reviews, this is now number 5 out of 6. There is a YouTube series just on EHR reviews, and you're welcome to check that out if you're looking for an EHR. Thanks as always for watching.